guys, I'm Alex.
I'm Jason, we're the Table Monkeys, and today we are going to review Matt Mask and Devon Larratt from WAL 2018, I believe, right?
2018-405. And since we were just hanging out with these two awesome guys, we figured we'd review their match.
Yeah.
They've been pulling together for like 20 years, but this is probably the closest it's ever been.
For sure, yeah. And maybe the most heated, I don't know. I mean, they've got a lot of matches, they obviously get pretty heated, they play pretty rough when they play on the table.
Definitely weren't friends here. And,
Yeah.
and not after the match either.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just going to review it the same way that we normally do, and let's just get into it.
Yep, here we go.
All right, guys, so we're just going to watch the match, like the round through at full speed with the volume on, and then we'll go back and watch it in slow-mo and explain it and kind of break it down with our hill diagrams and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. And Devon's in full trash talk mode at this moment, trying to get Matt's head. They've already slipped, gone straight to the strap, so
Devon
we just skipped to
with
that
his
part.
classic, you got to watch this guy. People are talking about me, and then he can't help but laugh because he just actually heard himself say what he did. It's pretty awesome.
He knows he's bullshit.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I'm not going to play the game. Close your thumbs. I'm not going to play the game. Close your hands. Go. Speechless just watching this. I can't do it. 2, 3, 1 more round.
So good. All right. So let's go back. So
Matt's setting up high.
Yeah.
Looking like he's gonna go for a T1, T2, top roll hit.
and Devon we feel like he's looking for his high hook. He's trying to get as high a grip as he can too. But as he said, he's mentioned this before. Matt's hand is probably one of the best in the game.
Yeah, it looks like he got the hit off quicker than Matt. Matt wasn't quite expecting it. Drags Matt back to the pad and secures his cup.
Yeah, and you can see he's definitely trying to fight with lots of back pressure, cup, and just trying to get him inside his body, establish that high hook position.
Matt knows that he's lost the initial game of the
the
table.
hand game. Devon hits him with a quack, so he hits him back with a hit, and at this point, Devon is pretty capable of holding that high hook. He's not losing his hand yet. They go for the regrip. Looks like Devon gets him a little bit there on the regrip, and at this point again, like you can just see Matt knows that he's in a bad position. I think he says it after the match, like he wasn't going to fight out of a shitty position. He's going to save more for the later rounds. I think he might give him a little bit more.
He's not really trying at this point.
Listening to Devon is just trying to get in his head, staring him down. And again, Devon just trying to hold that high hook position. Matt now gonna force the pin, Devon literally holding his hand back, not letting him touch his own pin pad. So again, Devon 100% about the mind games, and they work, and he is the best at playing them. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, one more year, and let's go to the next round.
And it is 1-0 for Devon.
Yeah.
So they've obviously slipped again. They slip every round. No one's trying to hold on to anybody.
Yeah.
So they're in the strap again.
And here we go, round 2.
Match series showdown. Push your hands. Go. Oh, Matt. Can't get in the zone. He has Devon, and he has it. He's close. That's better. That's better. That might be a pin. That's a pin. That's a pin. That mask is here. Yeah. Oh yeah,
we're gonna do this. I love it. So good. Matt's intensity is pretty much unmatched, I think.
Yeah.
And again, we feel like Devon's hitting and Matt, basically hitting to the same spot, right?
Yeah.
So they're both hitting high, trying to gain the high hand, and it looks like Matt completely wins.
Much more of an even start this time,
yeah.
So Matt was able to capitalize on the hand game up top.
He got a lot of info, obviously, on that first hit. He knew what Devon was going for. When talking to him when he was here, it's clear that he's really conscious of what his opponent wants and keeping them away from that. Like, that's a big part of his game.
Yeah.
So it's clear that he was able to do that better here. You see him clearly get on top of Devon's hand, basically has his riser at that point, quick little regrip. And now when he hits again, you can really see Devon's riser go.
Yeah, it starts to go every
time
he surges.
You can see it in his face. And then this one here, and then the next one, Devon even gives out a yell once he realizes that it's totally gone. And I feel like it's not until that point there that he starts to really consider the kings and roll to his thumb,
Yes, after this final surge, his hand is completely gone, and he tries to transition to a king's move, but it is too late.
And the whole time we feel Matt this is like he hits T1 and then he basically is trying to pin with T2, right?
Yeah, he's not concerned about his wrist flexion. He's just focusing on pronating and hitting to the side.
Yeah.
And taking Devon's hand.
Yeah.
And he gets the pin.
Yeah, and then they get into their little, hey, let's fucking make sure there's no argument here.
A side note, look at the color of Matt's head right now.
Yeah, he is on fire. Wild horse. All right, so let's move on to round 3.
Yeah, so like I said before, they slip every round and go to the strap.
Yep.
So here's round 3 in the strap.
And
What a word there, a foul on Devon Larry.
Close your hands, go!
Mask is in position. Mask has got everything in the world.
yeah.
Oh, that was close. That might have been a pin. But Devon's holding. Mask thinks he pinned him. Unbelievable. How is Devon holding it? Unbelievable. Devon is an animal. Oh, my goodness. Look at that angle. Whoa.
All right, so we're gonna analyze this, and then we'll analyze the restart, right?
Yeah. So that was obviously an elbow foul on Devon that led to the restart.
Yeah.
So same thing. Looks like Devon's trying to fight for his high hook, trying to fight for height at the top.
Yeah.
But instantly loses his wrist flexion.
Yeah.
And
so much happens in this like split second, even at slow motion, it's too hard. So I'm going to stop it here. So this is where we feel he's lost his hand, and now he's starting, like you said, like everything you just covered, and now he's starting to fight inside, right?
Yeah. He's securing his drag and trying to keep his pronation.
Yeah.
That's why you can see Matt's every time Matt surges, he loses his wrist a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And the main thing is like you can see Devon's shoulder coming in a bit. So he's definitely, I feel like when we talked about this, we feel like this is kind of an instinctual move by him. Like as soon as he loses his hand, his instinct is just to dive his shoulder and rely on side pressure and his elbow, kind of like his match with Taurus, and you've seen him do it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And then in doing that, he kind of bumps Matt a little bit, gets him out of his shoulder. On the regrip, he starts to roll out, right?
Yeah.
And again, it kind of happens so quick, even on a quarter speed, it's hard to go through it all. So at this point here, this is where he's just starting to fight with what we would call a defensive P2, right? So a little surge there, and on the regrip, you can see Devon kind of secure his thumb, and now drag and pronation. So now he's not fighting. You can see his shoulder is back. He doesn't have his shoulder as committed as he did on that first one. It's back now, and he's relying on his drag and his pronation. And one thing, we've talked to Devon a lot about the King's move. And for him, the thing that's really important is his thumb coming through his opponent's hand while dragging with the strap really, really hard. So I feel like it's different than the way that I've learned the King's move from Crazy George and from Tyler Hamilton, is like to rotate into the strap with the back of my hand. He's more focused about how far he can get his thumb into his opponent's hand. So when you'll notice when he's re-gripping, that's really what when he starts relying on that, I feel like that's when he's King's moving.
Yeah, so right now he is in a King's move.
Yeah.
He hasn't fully committed to the complete roll and
Yeah.
extension of his arm, but he's still using those pressures.
And again, we're defining that because he's solely relying on pronation and drag. He has no flexion. He's not really fighting for riser. He's not necessarily giving it up like a low hand top roll, but he's not trying to fight for it. He's just making sure to maintain as much pronation and drag as possible, right?
Yeah, so
let's continue. So again, drive, and it's, as Alex said, you can really see Matt's hand bending back. That's how you know that it's all that pronation that Devon is committing to, right?
Yeah, and those probably were pins.
Yeah,
Devon
the
cut away
second
those,
one,
but-
the second one maybe,
Yeah.
definitely. And then that was probably an elbow foul already right there.
Yeah.
So,
But so now there's center table. Devon's trying to fight from a post.
Yeah.
With that surge, he got real close, but you can see
surge
Matt's wrist bending back right at near the pin pad.
and the surges are getting further and further from the pin pad, right?
Yeah.
So they're just going to keep driving in. On every regrip, too, Devon's able to get a little bit on Matt's hand.
Yeah, you can see Matt's riser a little bit compromised now.
Which
Devon's
is-
fully in the Kings.
Yeah.
And every time they go back up the center, Devon gets
Again,
a little bit
yeah.
more, a little bit more.
Able to take that riser again, and that's really what that is so much of Matt's game. If you can dominate his riser a bit, at least from what Devon said and how the little bit we could feel from Matt, because he's so much stronger than us. He can't really feel what's going on. But his game is all hands, so that's what Devon's trying to attack, you know?
And that's why when his riser starts to go completely, you're going to see him commit inside and go P2 flop press.
Yeah, which is also maybe just because it's a good idea against the King's move. He realizes he's being King's moved at this point, and dives forward. Devon slides way off the back of the pad. Obviously, I think this is probably for the restart, just for a fatigue factor, right?
I think Matt would have gotten the pin if Devon tried to stay on the pad there.
Yeah. So let's look at the second round, or the second part of this third round, sorry.
All right, so here's the restart for round 3. Here we go.
Back in the straps.
Fight call. Mask holds up. Mask has his hand again. He does. He's waiting. Or does he? Matt's waiting. Devon coming back, getting it back into the middle.
So good. The trash talk between these guys is just epic. It really is epic.
All right, so this is almost identical to the previous, I guess, round.
Yeah.
Well, this round, but before the restart.
Yeah.
But Devon is a lot quicker to fully transition to his King's move. He knows that he doesn't have the hand to fight Matt up top.
Yeah.
So you can see him giving it away right off the go.
You see him lose his hand. He does kind of commit his shoulder for a second to the side. I feel like he's got something where he knows that if he can get Matt a little bit outside his shoulder, he's got more room to roll, maybe, is what he's thinking.
Yeah, he's still got it committed there.
And then on this hit, you'll see him pull it back and really roll to his thumb. Sorry, the next one. It's right here now.
Yeah, so here he starts to roll out.
Yeah.
Fully committing to the dragon pronation.
And again, the way you can tell that Devon is committing to his thumb is by how bent back Matt's hand is.
Yeah.
Matt does not want his hand to do that. Matt's hand is very strong and not doing that. So Devon
we know.
Yeah, Devon is committing a lot to make sure that happens. So again, just because he's not all the way under the table, fully stretched out or on the side of his elbow, he's still in a King's move here because he's fully committed to pronation and drag, and that's it. He's letting everything else go in order to maintain those two fundamentals.
Yep, and he's hitting with King's move here.
Yeah. And the way you hit with a King's move is that same thing. You're hitting out and up, out and up. You're not hitting across the table.
Yep.
You're just trying to hit into your opponent's hand as much as you can.
And every time they go back to center table, Devon tries to regain more of his posting pressure.
Yeah.
Because eventually he wants to get into his high hook.
Exactly.
That's his goal.
For sure. And you can see that happening now here where he's bringing his elbow forward and really making sure to win the height game. And again, Matt's riser, right, is starting to go a bit.
Exactly.
So just trying to fatigue him, and he's being much more offensive in this round than he was. The last round he was like kind of waiting on him. This round he's making sure to keep him out of any strong
And because
position.
he was so offensive, he was able to take Matt's hand quicker, and Matt had to dive in for a press. Not a very good one. His hand is way outside of his shoulder.
And Devon's in a way better position than he was on the last press. He's not nearly as extended, right?
Yep, and he's able to get his cup.
Yeah.
And Matt's not even trying, and he pins himself.
because Devon will break you.
Devon will break you, yeah.
Trust me, I know. All right, let's move on to the next round. All right, guys, so here we are, starting round 4. Again, they have slipped, and it was actually kind of clever of Devon to get Matt to slip maybe because it's just more fatigue. Like, Matt could have easily gotten some chalk or just, waited out the 15 seconds, but somehow Devon got him to pull through his hand and slip, even though it seemed like an effortless slip. At this point of a match, any effort that you put in is effort you don't want to waste, right?
Yeah, and it looks like Devon's endurance is winning that game. Or Devon's winning the endurance battle right now.
Yeah, for sure. You can tell Matt's sweating, and Devon is starting to get more comfortable, which is how, if you know Devon, that's how his matches go, right? Like once he starts to win that battle of attrition, he gets more comfortable and you get less comfortable, and then the gap just starts to spread, right?
Yeah.
So here we go, full volume, and we will shut up.
You can't give me a mouth, right?
I guess we were
He
early.
said stop. Both your hands, go! They're trying to win it. Devon has position. Matt's waiting. Matt's conserving. Devon's got his hand.
his stare down is just it's epic.
Staring him
That's how
down.
I'm gonna finish it.
And there he is, perfect high hook. Old school Devon.
The infamous I want you to remember.
And this is the best. We're gonna have to play this whole thing, even if this copyrights us. I love it. Oh, it's so good. And then right here, Matt can't help himself. Fucking cocksucker. I love it. Alright, let's look at that again and explain what we think happens. Other than that, Matt gets extremely pissed off at the end and does not want Devon to touch him.
They didn't remain friends. They weren't friends for like 3 or 4 weeks after that.
I think it did. Yeah, I think actually it did take a minute. Eh?
Yeah.
Did they talk about? I didn't hear that
Yeah.
part of the podcast. Did you?
I heard Devon talk about it a while. Like he called Matt right after. He felt bad, wanted to apologize, and Matt didn't answer him back for like 3 weeks.
Shit! Oh shit! Well, either way, I can see that happening. The emotions run high and hot when you're in here, and it's a combat sport again. So it's not like watching somebody do better than you at some arbitrary thing like lifting a bar. Again, you're actually like fighting the guy, so there's a lot of emotion that gets traded.
True.
You know,
And there's 10 grand on the table.
Exactly, yeah, there's money, all that kind of shit. So, here we go. We're going to slow it down and go through this round as we have the others.
So Devon looks like he's hitting up high again for this round. Maybe he feels Matt's hand is gassed, so he can fight with him a little bit more up top.
Yeah.
And they get stuck center table.
Yeah.
And Devon starts surging. We think he's surging with a king,
More of a-
offensive king.
Yeah.
Because you can see he's not fighting for wrist flexion. He's just pronating through the strap and dragging.
Yeah, and if you were to compare this to how Michael Todd looks when he's hitting King's move, it looks very similar to that.
Yeah.
Like, that's that arm angle that he's kind of hitting. And then, and part of that is also maybe that he's waiting for when Matt hits that he can roll to it if he needs to.
Yeah.
And again, all Devon really wants in that Kings is to make sure that he's got his thumb as deep in his opponent's hand as he can. And you can just see him as he's surging, he's just driving like right through his thumb.
Yeah, and Matt's hand and bicep is really gassing here.
Yeah.
He was never able to establish riser.
Yeah.
So he's always got his wrist dumped.
And because Devon's not fighting for cut, Matt dragging with the back of his hand and trying to roll through isn't going to do anything except make him lose more of his hand, right?
Yeah, and the match is basically over now. You can see the intense stare down.
Yeah.
Every time Matt surges, Devon just beats him to the punch and hits him over the side.
He's
and gives him
literally
another stare.
like watching his eyes for when Matt is about to surge.
Yeah.
So he can surge with him. This one's epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hits him right back.
Just
and
suck
then
the soul right out of Matt.
exactly. I want you to remember, which is coming, or well, you already heard it. But the big thing here is, as we've been saying, Devon's looking for that high hook the whole time, and as soon as he can actually establish some wrist flexion, which again is kind of the interesting thing about the King's move, right? Because I'm not fighting for it, it's not because you've taken it from me, it's because I'm not really fighting for it. So,
so
the
it's like
strength
dancing.
is usually there at the end of the round if you need it.
Yeah, so right there, he's able to gain a little bit of wrist flexion. It looks like Matt's not trying too hard right now. He kind of knows it's over, but he wants to.
But again,
Keep it going.
because he hasn't been fighting for flexion, once Devon's able to secure it, there's no way Matt's getting that back.
Yeah, so Matt's in a really bad defensive hook. He's got no pronation at all,
Yeah.
and Devon's in his high hook, completely dominant position.
Yeah. As much as Matt gives up each round, he does show, a lack of quit
Yes.
by continuing to search for positions, and he doesn't just keep driving at the same spot, and that's always awesome to see. But Devon obviously wants him to remember,
Yes.
as he states, and this
He's
is
successful in that.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And this is that classic Devon position here with the high hook. He's got everything established.
And then it just finishes with a little press.
Yeah, or was that Matt? Was that Matt pulling into the press?
Could have been a little bit of both.
I feel like that was more Matt than anything. And that stare. Well, let's end it on
I like that
stare.
little tongue at the side of the mouth.
That's it. You motherfucker. Like, just goddamn. Anyway, one of the best matches for sure.
Yeah, so great match between these two guys. It was really cool to hang out with both of them and get to see how friendly they are off the table.
Yeah.
And we're obviously rooting for both of them in their matches coming up.
Yeah, they both have huge matches, obviously, everybody knows. And pulling for Canada, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
Rep.
So anyway, that's the breakdown. We hope you guys liked it, and obviously leave some feedback in the comments. Let us know what other matches you'd like to see us break down like this with the diagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
If you haven't, if you're a new subscriber, because again we've gotten so many new subscribers, and you're not familiar with this whole hill system, throw a card up in the window of where this all started, and it all spawns from Devon's idea of the the hill of arm wrestling techniques.
Yeah.
And we've just tried to expand on that, as we will continue to do. So
if you like the video, please like the video, share, subscribe, hit that bell,
bing bing bang,
and monkeys out.
peace.